pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Mrs. Glasbach?
Here.
Mrs. Hildebrand? Mrs. Hoskins? Mr. Bob Jones?
Here.
Mr. Tony Jones?
There.
Mr. Tony Jones?
Here.
Mrs. Schott? And student representative.
Here. And if you could call the calendar, please.
On Tuesday, April 30th, 2019, there'll be a CLAC meeting at 6:30 p.m. at Davisville Academy, located at 50 East Court in North Kingstown. And Tuesday, May 7th, 2019, there's a school committee business meeting.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda are presentations and recognitions. We have a student presentation on Project Close Up.
Yep. So I'd just like to pass around these artifacts from the trip and distribute them evenly. You can take a look.
Thank you.
There you go. Some nice signatures on there. Pass that around.
Key Bridge Marriott, that's right on the
Yes.
bridge.
Right.
6 minutes to Georgetown.
I'll move this so I can see the mouse. So I'd just like to inform the school committee on our trip to Washington, D.C., North Kingstown High School's trip this year. We spent 5 days in Washington, D.C., 13 of us from NK. Each of the students' expenses on the trip were covered by the individual families or the students themselves. And it was life-changing. It was an excellent trip. And I would totally recommend this program be continued for future years. So, as I said, 13 kids from NK went this year. I put the Project Close-Up initiative on the board for you. And then below I put some important concepts we took away from Project Close-Up. The first one being the concept of political efficacy, which is something that they stressed quite often in the workshops. The workshops were, well, first there were about 200 kids in total from different states. I think it was about 7 states. We'll get to that in a minute. And each workshop was composed around 20 kids plus or minus. And we had various discussions about national policies and these concepts here, like how to increase political efficacy, attending meetings like the school committee, town council, just showing advocacy for policy in general was one of the concepts we reviewed. And then during our tour of an array of national monuments, I think we went to every monument in Washington, D.C., and about every memorial. We covered it quickly, and it was I had a great time going to all these memorials. Some of them I'd never been to before. I had been to Washington, D.C. before.
I haven't.
You had been to D.C.?
But a lot of people hadn't, especially the people
Right.
from like the Midwest who didn't
And then-
experience this.
And then finally we met with and interacted with state officials. So we met with Senator Whitehouse and Senator Reid. And I listed here all the states that everybody was from. If you take a look at these states, they're pretty geographically separate from Rhode Island. So we were poked fun at a little bit.
Just your accent, right?
Yeah. Well,
Really good.
right. And let me just review how the accommodations went. So we were 4 to a room, and usually it was 2 people from Rhode Island with 2 people from a different state. So my roommates were from North Dakota, but how they like to pronounce it, North Dakota. They've got a North Dakotan accent, which is just kind of refreshing to hear. I actually kind of like their accent. But this geographical separation, it was actually, I think it was one of the assets from the trip. It was so interesting to hear their point of view on issues that we look at a totally different position in Rhode Island. So what might be the popular majority opinion in Rhode Island might not be the case in these states. And I thought that was really fun to hear these students explain these complex national issues from a totally separate point of view in a way that was remarkable. Do you have anything to
Sum it up pretty
add? Okay. And I listed some of these issues, such as climate change, workers' pay, universal health care, and gun rights and restrictions. So we know you want to see some pictures from the trip. Right here we have the World War II memorial in front of the Rhode Island section. And then the Washington Monument kind of piercing the sun there. One thing I do want to add is we had absolutely amazing weather. I think it was cloudy for half of a day, and every other day was mostly sunny to not a cloud in the sky. It was unbelievable. And I think it was around 55 to 65 degrees the entire week, which is pretty normal now, but back then in March 24th through the 29th, that was pretty warm. And then over here we have the Lincoln Memorial, of course. And these are our group photos from our meetings with the senators. So both of these are on the Wednesday, which was labeled as Capitol Hill Day on the brochure that they supplied us. We met with Senator Whitehouse on the steps of the Capitol at around 11 o'clock that morning. And after meeting with him, we met with him for about 10 minutes and discussed various policies, what he's doing in the Senate, and his communications with other senators and how he became a senator, which was very interesting to hear. Afterwards, we took a tour with some of his interns who are actually from Rhode Island. One of them's, I think he's from Bristol, and another is from, went to LaSalle. So that was very interesting to hear that they have, Senator Whitehouse has interns from Rhode Island. And we took a tour with them around the Capitol building. And it took about, I think it was half an hour wait to get into the Senate gallery, but I have to say, it was worth it. I think it was worth it. Some people didn't think it was worth it because the gallery, there was no one in there. So, but just seeing that history, to me, it's like, I gotta say, it was amazing. It's the second time I'd been there, but it was surely one of my favorites. And afterwards, we met with Senator Reid in his office in the Senate office building, and we discussed various policy, like he said, policy, civics, climate change, and more. One thing I do want to add, though, is from the walk from the steps in the Capitol with Senator Whitehouse to the Senate office buildings, where we actually went underground on the train underneath the Capitol, from the Senate office buildings back to the Capitol. We did get to see some pretty influential figures. For instance, I walked by Senator Tim Kaine, wait to him a little bit, and then recently elected officials as well. I remember seeing Kirsten Sinema from Arizona. And these are pretty influential figures that were walking by, and I'm sure some of the we saw Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney.
I think from a distance we saw Mitt Romney, but
Going on the train
right.
underground.
So these are pretty influential figures, and I'm sure some of us in the group had no idea who they were. and I'm just walking around, and of course I like to follow politics and all. Recognizing these famous elected officials is just very exhilarating. So it was definitely a reason why Capitol Hill Day was my favorite day. And then, as you can see here, another picture. This is behind, that picture on the left is behind the Smithsonian Visitor Center. We missed the peak cherry blossom season.
They were just starting to open up
Yeah,
the week we were there. So by our last day, you can see they were starting to become really beautiful.
Right, but other than that, again, we had fabulous weather. You can see leaves on trees. It was very green, very lush, much like it is now here. But I remember when we were landing and we're taking the bus from the airport to the hotel, we're looking outside, everything's so green, something that we hadn't seen in a while. And then this is in front of the Capitol building on Capitol Hill Day. And on the left is a portrait of President Obama from the National Portrait Gallery. Another favorite for us was the portrait of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I got a lot of attention from various group members. And this image is from the American History Museum display of TVs behind the 50 states of America. And I'd just like to thank the school committee once again as we're wrapping up for helping us on our journey to Washington, D.C., for your support. And just like to say thank you. And that's our advisor, Mr. Miller. Thank you very much.
Glad you had a great time.
Yeah,
Sounds
like
like
he said, we had both been there before, but this is really a one-of-a-kind experience being able to be there. Not only with the knowledge that Project Close-Up was able to provide, but also the perspectives, like he was saying, of all the other states. I mean,
Right.
I still talk to my roommates. We became really close, and it's really cool to say, yeah, I have friends from Michigan and Alaska and North Dakota.
Yeah.
Because they really do have such different cultures, even like within one country.
Right, and I'm planning a summer road trip this year, and we're going through Fargo, North Dakota, which is where one of the friends I made, he's from. So I'm planning on stopping by. Oh yeah. So it's life-changing experience. I had never gotten close to anyone from out west, Midwest before, and it's a life-changing experience. I know I'm saying it a lot, but it really is life-changing.
Not a bad thing.
Right.
At your age to see that
Right.
the world's a little bigger than our backyard.
And, right. And I
Not bigger than Rhode Island.
Right.
You don't realize how sheltered we are, but it's,
Yeah, they did call us.
Oh, we
sheltered.
realize how sheltered we are.
they called us out.
At the banquet dinner right at the end, we had some group speakers, and some speakers from other states called us sheltered. So
Wow.
Like the people from Alaska are really,
yeah.
And what makes them not so sheltered?
I don't know.
In the corner of the world.
Yeah.
they've been to Canada.
Right. They're practicing.
Oh, that's great.
All right, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
So
Thank
I
you.
just,
Any questions?
so, who qualifies to go? How do you?
There's no
How's the group?
application. You decide you'd like to go, and you sign up. And the number of people in the group varies depending on the interest level. But I think we had a good number. We had 13 kids.
13, which was about right, actually. It was
Yeah.
Any more, it might have been a little bit more chaotic. Our advisor presented it to Student Union first, and then slowly word got out, and other people joined. So we had quite a few Student Union members at the high school, and then some non-student union members as well.
Yeah, I think he did a good job of gaining interest from people that really wanted to go on the trip.
And we're surely going to do our part to advocate for this trip next year, and to really inform people of how influential and how amazing this experience was, and hopefully get more people to go next year.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Did you find it difficult to be away from school for that long and to catch up on your assignments?
You know, it was an excused absence, so
Yeah.
That definitely helped.
Right.
It was right before the end of a quarter, so there was definitely a rush to get things in. But I found that I planned my time accordingly. I have one PLT, which really helped, and I made sure that on the days that I could stay after, I did, and I did end up getting everything in on time. So
yeah, I had no
as long
problems
as you
with
plan
that.
accordingly, it's very manageable.
And the excused absence is big. That means you have additional days to make up work that you missed. So
Yeah.
I was able to get everything done.
End of the third quarter, my junior year, it was, it's a lot, but it can be done. Definitely.
All right,
Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Dr.
Couple
Zhang?
recognitions, a couple more recognitions. I want to congratulate Mr. Garland again, and we had our students, North Kingstown students, placed first in the State Economics Challenge, second in the State Financial Literacy Challenge. So once again, the business program is just going like gangbusters. And yesterday, I had the pleasure of attending a ceremony at the State House with Governor Raimondo. She was announcing wind energy initiatives. She used Earth Day as the day to do that. And there were people from business partners who are pouring $450 million into wind energy projects off of Block Island in the near future. And she invited Justin Kinnis, a senior at North Kingstown High School, who is one of the first students to take advantage of the grants that we've gotten for the Win RI. That is coordinated through Dr. Morse at the high school and through the North Kingstown Chamber of Commerce. And he talked about his field trip out to the wind turbines and a lot of learning that he's done about the engineering skills that are needed to be a part of that industry, and he's gung-ho about it. I was with him when President Dooley from URI gave him personally his card, said, "I want you to call me." He's already intending to go to URI for engineering, but that won't hurt one bit. So that was a really nice ceremony to have the governor's support for that, and to have a nice. We were the only high school that was represented in this ceremony, so it was really nice to have that happen. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Citizens' comments? I don't see anyone lined up to speak today. That's
Travis
okay.
Nixon.
Little less controversial agenda today.
Travis. Anything?
Okay. So we'll move on to routine items. If I could have a motion to seal the executive session minutes of this evening, April 23rd, 2019.
So moved. Second.
Motion, Mr. Tony Jones, second, Mr. Robert Jones. All those in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. And I can disclose that no votes were taken in the executive session this evening. For the consent agenda, I'm going to exempt item E5 and actually I'm going to exempt item E5 and we're going to withdraw item E6. So exempting E5 and withdrawing E6. Anyone else have any items they'd like to exempt? Hearing none, I would ask for motion to approve the non-exempted consent agenda items.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
Mr. Tony Jones, second, Mr. Robert Jones. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. For item E5 that I exempted, I'm going to move to amend that to include an additional name. So we'll be approving the names that are in your agenda packet with the addition of Jacqueline Burville. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve item E5 with the addition of the name of Jacqueline Burville. I need a second.
Second.
I have a second, Mr. Tony Jones. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Anything on 2018-19 school budget?
Nope.
2019-20 school budget?
I would just say that on April 29th, Monday night, I should have the agenda soon. The town council is going to be voting on the FY20 budget. I don't know the time. Jeanette Allenwood seemed to indicate that she thought it was going to be a little earlier, ahead of their regular meeting. But once I get that agenda, I'll send it out to you all here.
Thank you. And CIP, existing bond, future bond?
Nope.
Any questions on the special reports, disposal notification? And we've reached the end of the agenda. I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion, Mr. Tony Jones, second, Mr. Robert Jones. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Someone said 7:30. You beat it.
What was the feedback?
You did it, 7:20, you did it.
My